I don't want to get bored by. It's not that I was bored with Lucy Kincaid. I loved Lucy. It's just, they were all set in San Antonio, which is a great city and has a lot to offer it. But when I started a new series, I wanted to say, oh, I want to move them around. So they've been to, small towns like Patagonia, Arizona, and the Bayou in Louisiana. And then when I did the Missing Witness, I wanted to have a kind of wrap up Kara's storyline. She was on leave in the first book, and then so the Missing Witness deals with why she was put on leave in the first place. And so the Missing Witness essentially is about how it's really about public corruption and how um, individuals profit on the backs of the homeless. So they raise money. Non-governmental organizations are raising money. They're getting money, government grants. They're getting all of these things. I based a lot of it on real things. I have a friend of mine who's a social worker that works with the homeless. And so he was instrumental in helping me understand how it's funded. So a lot of what I wrote about is absolutely true. Um, of course, I had a murder in mind, which I don't know if anybody's ever been killed based on this. So it started essentially what had happened that got Kara on leave was that a let's see how to I'm so bad at describing my books. A Chinese American had a sweatshop basically and brought in illegal Chinese immigrants to work for him and essentially as indentured slaves. I mean, they couldn't leave. They had to pay off the debt for being brought over into the country. And she took that down before the first book. Now, fast forward 10 months, she has to come and testify against him in Los Angeles. And there is a threat on her life because she's testifying against him. And she realizes when she gets there that there was more than the sweatshop that she had to deal with, that there was a lot of other things going on, including the fact that the bad guy had been given a grant from the city of Los Angeles to house all of the people that worked for him. And then that kind of starts the beginning of the Missing Witness, which is an individual who actually uncovered the financing and then ended up being witnessed a murder and ran because she feared for her life. Havenwood is a fictional community that I created that was essentially, yeah, the whole idea came to be what happens when you have a perfect little microcosm of society, sort of like how cults form. They have this great idea on how to create a utopia, but I've always been fascinated how utopias turn to dystopias, and that was kind of what Havenwood became. It started with noble intentions. This is a small community of people working together to support themselves, raise their own food, live together in harmony, and then what happens when that is threatened? And so that kind of became the community of Havenwood. And Matt, Kara, and the team were brought in because two people were murdered in exactly the same way at the same time on opposite coasts. So they knew it was connected, but there was no physical way that the same person could have done both crimes. So they brought them together opposite coasts. They go into Colorado and end up discovering Havenwood, which is kind of this dark cult that doesn't want anybody to leave because they fear if somebody leaves that they're going to be exposed. The whole thing with Quinn and Costa is that, it took about 5 books for them to get into a good place romantically. And now that they go undercover as a honeymooning couple because 3 couples have disappeared from a Florida resort. And so they go under, they have a profile of the guy. And in the first chapter, they arrest him. He is put in jail pending arraignment and everybody goes home. And then Matt and Kara have a little bit of R&R because they were undercover, they were working, so they couldn't actually enjoy their time. Then chapter 2, 3 days later, they don't show up at Quantico to a staff meeting and they have disappeared. And now the team has to figure out what happened. Did they arrest the wrong guy? Does the guy have a partner? What's going on? And so the team is looking for them on the one hand, and then Matt and Kara are trapped in a abandoned warehouse that has been set up as a deadly escape room. So they have to try to get out of it, but everywhere they turn, something has it prevents them from getting out. So that was a lot of fun to write. I will say that's one of those books that once I got past the first couple of chapters and figuring out, okay, what's going on? Does he have a partner? All this stuff. It was just flowing. And I had so much fun writing it and coming up with all of these little traps to put them in and what was going to happen. And, I kind of shook them up there a little bit because, when you're about to die, there's really no time for romance, but they have this trust and mutual respect that helps them get through what is ultimately a really, really dark situation.
Yeah, I mean, where are you heading next with them? Are you already, is this it, or are you into a new story
No.
now?
So Make It Out Alive comes out in January, and I'm about to start the next book in the series. Does not have a title. It'll be out in January of 27, I think, tentatively. Um, it is going to there's going to be a couple things going on. Basically, someone that Matt put away when he put this guy away. Actually, it was one of the bad guys in the missing witness. Matt put him in prison, and when he was put in prison, his daughter, obviously, he was a single dad, and his daughter was taken and put into protective custody. The guy gets out of prison. He wants his daughter, and no one's going to tell him where it is. So he does a series of real cruel things to get Matt to get him to his daughter. So that is I haven't started it. I don't know how exactly it's all going to work out, but that's the premise. At least I know the premise of that.